All right. Hey, everyone. Ready to dive into some crypto security?
Let's do it.
I think a lot of us would agree that it feels a little bit like the Wild West out there. Exciting and full of opportunity, but also
Risky.
risky. Exactly. So we want to make sure that you can navigate it all safely. And we're going to do that today by exploring this article, 7 crypto security tips you're probably not doing.
Yeah, good stuff.
Some of this advice is honestly pretty surprising, like why having accounts on multiple exchanges is actually safer,
Yeah.
and how something called a cold wallet
Uh-huh.
can basically make your crypto untouchable.
Right.
But before we get into all that,
Yeah.
let's start with something I think everyone listening is familiar with, right?
Yeah.
Email.
Sure.
This article recommends creating a separate email address just for your crypto activities.
Oh, interesting.
Now, I'll be honest, my first reaction was like, ugh, another email address. But explain this to me. Why is this so important?
Well, I think the way to think about it is you're trying to minimize your attack surface. Like your main email address, right, is probably tied to so much stuff.
Yeah, it's connected to everything.
Exactly, like everything, right? Shopping, all your accounts, everything.
Yeah.
If a hacker gets into that, they can potentially get access to everything in your life.
Yeah.
And then also, by extension, your crypto, right?
Wow.
So having a dedicated email address that's only used for crypto, it's really like a separate front door to just your financial stuff.
Okay.
And it helps you to know, like, hey, if something's coming to this email address, it's got to be crypto related.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense.
Right.
Okay, so it's like we're compartmentalizing,
Yeah.
not just for convenience,
Exactly.
but really as a security measure.
Yeah.
Now, speaking of security, I think a lot of us, myself included, have had anxiety about like keeping all of our crypto on a single exchange.
Yeah.
You know, the classic, like
Right.
what if the exchange goes down? What if
Yeah.
it gets hacked?
Totally.
And I think, we've all seen those examples,
Uh-huh.
and I don't even want to name names.
Right. Yeah.
Where it's like, that actually happens, right?
It does happen. Yeah.
And that's why this article stresses the importance of diversifying your exchanges.
Yeah.
So even if you have a particular exchange that you trust, is it still not smart to keep all your eggs in one basket?
Yeah. You probably wouldn't put all your money in one bank no matter how much you trust that bank.
That's a good point.
You'd probably spread it around a little bit.
I like that analogy.
Yeah. Same thing with exchanges. At least two good ones.
Okay, that makes sense.
Yeah.
I guess I've always thought about the exchanges as like
Right.
the primary place to hold crypto,
Uh-huh.
and I haven't really considered the alternatives. So what are our options
Wow.
if we want to move our crypto off the exchange?
That gets us to the idea of self-custody,
Okay.
which basically means you're controlling your own crypto keys
Yeah.
instead of trusting an exchange to hold them for you. So
It's kind of like having your own safe, right?
yeah, like having the keys to your own safe. Yeah, instead of trusting a bank to hold it for you.
Okay, that makes a lot of sense.
That's right.
But then I'm thinking, okay, if we're not supposed to keep our crypto on exchanges for the long term, then what are they good for?
Right. So exchanges are still essential
Right.
for what we call on-ramping and off-ramping, right?
Okay.
Which is basically buying crypto with your local currency
Okay.
and vice versa.
Okay.
They're also very good for swapping, right? Like
Oh, yeah.
you want to go from Bitcoin to Ethereum.
Yeah, between cryptocurrencies.
Exactly, yeah. But once you've made those purchases or trades, it's best to move it into your own wallet.
Okay, so think of it like a gateway.
Yeah.
We need the exchanges,
Yeah.
but we don't want to linger there longer than we have to.
Yeah.
We need to get our crypto to a safer place.
Exactly.
And that's where these non-custodial wallets come in.
Right. And probably the best one in terms of security is a cold wallet.
Okay, cold wallets.
It's like,
Yeah.
imagine like a vault buried underground,
Okay.
completely disconnected from the internet. Like very, very hard to get to.
Sounds like something out of a movie.
Yeah, pretty much. That's what a cold wallet is.
I love it. But then how does it work? I mean, how do you actually use it?
Right. So it's a physical device,
Okay.
kind of like a USB stick that you store your private keys on offline. And your private keys are basically like the secret codes that unlock your crypto.
Oh.
So as long as those keys are offline, physically offline, no one can get to them.
Okay, wow. So this is
Very secure.
yeah, that's pretty impressive.
Yeah, it's like having your own personal Fort Knox.
Okay, but if it's offline, how do you
Right.
actually use your crypto? Do you have to plug it into the internet every time you want to make a transaction?
That's a great question. And this is where it gets a little bit complicated. It's not just about where you store your crypto,
Okay.
but it's about how you interact with what are called decentralized applications or dApps
Oh, okay.
that are built on the blockchain.
So we're talking about, like, decentralized exchanges.
Yeah.
Like lending platforms, all that exciting stuff that makes crypto so cool.
Exactly, yeah. But here's the thing.
Well.
When you interact with these dApps, oftentimes you're granting them permission to interact with your wallet.
Okay.
And this is done through what are called smart contracts, which are like agreements written in code.
Okay.
So basically you're saying, hey, this app can do this thing with my crypto.
Okay, but how do you know, like, how much access you're really giving?
That's where it gets tricky. Sometimes these smart contracts basically give the dApp unlimited access to your wallet.
Oh, wow.
Which means, if the dApp is secure, everything's fine.
Okay, but what if it's not?
If it's compromised or it turns out to be malicious.
Then it's like game over.
Potentially, yeah. So this is where you have to be super careful about the dApps you use. Always do your research, look at reviews, really understand like what permissions you're giving.
Okay, so it's like downloading like a shady app on your phone.
Exactly. You wouldn't just
give it access to all your data, right?
Exactly. Yeah. You want to make sure it's a reputable developer.
Okay.
It's got a good track record before you trust it with your info.
Okay.
Same thing with dApps.
Now, what if I've already connected to some dApps, right?
Right.
And I've granted permissions without really thinking through the risk?
So there's a great platform called revoke.cash, which is free, that lets you see all the approvals that are associated with your wallet.
Okay.
And then you can basically revoke access to anything you don't use or don't trust anymore.
Revoke.cash. I'm writing that down.
Yeah, it's a great tool.
Now, wouldn't using a cold wallet basically eliminate this problem?
It does a lot, right? Because it's offline most of the time.
It's offline.
So it dramatically reduces the exposure. But every now and then you might have to connect it to like make a transaction.
Oh, right.
And that's when you have to be really, really careful.
So it's not just set it and forget it.
Right, exactly.
With a cold wallet, you still have to be like proactive about security.
Yeah, definitely.
Now, this article also talks about diversifying our crypto wallets.
Yeah.
Just like we diversify our investments.
Right.
And I guess my first thought was, like, wait a minute. If I'm already using a cold wallet, like, isn't one enough?
Well, it's like that old saying, don't put all your eggs in one basket.
Yeah.
Right. It applies here, too.
Well,
even if you have one super secure cold wallet, it's still good to have more than one to minimize that risk.
I see.
What if something happens? You lose it or whatever.
But wouldn't managing multiple cold wallets be a nightmare?
So actually, you can use one cold wallet device to generate multiple wallets, each with its own unique seed phrase.
Oh, so it's like having multiple vaults within the within the Fort Knox.
I bet.
Yeah.
Each with their own unique like lock and key.
Okay, now seed phrases. You mentioned those earlier.
Yeah.
What exactly are they, and why are they so important?
Okay, so your seed phrase is like the master password. To your crypto kingdom.
Okay.
It's a series of words, usually 12 or 24, that gives you access to all the funds associated with that wallet. Think of it like the combination to your safe.
Okay, so if I lose my seed phrase, I lose all my crypto.
You do.
Oh, okay, no pressure.
That's why you have to store it really, really securely.
Okay.
And never, ever share it with anyone.
Okay, so
ever.
This article specifically warns against like writing it down on paper, which seems like obvious solution, right?
Yeah, but paper is just too vulnerable.
What's wrong with like writing it down and keeping it in a safe place?
It can get damaged by water, fire. It can fade over time. So like a leaky roof or a spilled cup of coffee? Yeah, you don't want that. Could be game over. Right. Yeah, that's scary. Right. So what's a better alternative then? So the article suggests using a metal seed phrase plate. A metal plate? Yeah. Are we like etching it into steel now? Pretty much. Okay, where do you even store something like that? Yeah, so basically you can get these metal plates that have pre-cut slots for metal letter tiles, so you actually physically imprint your seed phrase onto this plate. So it's like fireproof, waterproof, practically indestructible. It is. Wow. Yeah. Where would you keep something like that? Well, you'd want a secure location, obviously, that's accessible to you. Yeah. But also, you know, protected from theft or damage. Right. A home safe is good, or you could even consider a bank safety deposit box. Oh, that's a good idea. Okay, so
we've covered a lot of ground so far.
Yeah.
We've talked about dedicated email addresses, diversifying exchanges, moving our crypto into our own control with these cold wallets, protecting our seed phrases like the national treasures they are.
Right.
And I feel like we're building a pretty solid foundation here.
Yeah, we are, definitely. We're just getting started, though.
I love it. Okay, stay tuned, everyone, as we delve even deeper into the world of crypto security, and we'll uncover even more tips and tricks to help you protect your digital assets.
Absolutely. Welcome back, everyone.
All right. So
before we move on, I want to go back to something we kind of touched on earlier, which is smart contract approvals.
Oh, yeah.
This is one that can make even experienced crypto users kind of scratch their heads.
Yeah, I'll admit, when you were explaining this, it was a little, over my head.
It is technical, but it's really important to understand.
Okay.
So remember we talked about dApps, right?
Yeah, decentralized applications.
Right.
All those cool platforms that are built on the blockchain.
Right.
Okay.
So when you use a dApp, often you have to grant it permission to interact with your wallet.
Okay, so it's kind of like when an app on my phone asks for permission to use my camera or my location.
Exactly.
Okay.
But here's where it gets a little tricky.
Okay.
Some of these smart contracts will basically ask for like blanket approval, meaning they can potentially access all of the funds in that wallet.
Wait, so if you approve something carelessly, it could drain your entire wallet.
That's the concern, and that's why it's so important to be careful about which dApps you interact with.
Okay.
You want to make sure they're reputable, do your research, look at reviews, really understand the permissions that you're giving.
So it's kind of like downloading an app from a shady website. You're not going to just
you wouldn't just blindly
give it access to all your information.
Yeah, you want to make sure it's a good developer, has a good track record, right?
Right.
Before you trust them with your data.
Okay.
Same thing with dApps.
Now, what if you've already connected to some dApps?
Right.
And you've granted approvals without really...
Yeah, so there's a free platform called revoke.cash.
Okay.
Which allows you to see all of the smart contract approvals that are associated with your wallet address.
So you can go through and you can
And you can basically revoke access.
Revoke access.
To anything you don't use or you don't trust anymore.
Revoke.cash.
Yeah.
Okay, I'm going to check that out.
It's a great tool.
But wouldn't using a cold wallet kind of solve this problem?
It does a lot to mitigate the risk.
Yeah.
Because it's offline.
Yeah, it's offline most of the time.
But every now and then you might need to connect it to make a transaction or something.
Right. Okay.
And that's when you've got to be really, really careful.
So
it's not foolproof.
It's not just set it and forget it.
Exactly.
You still have to be proactive about security.
Definitely.
Now, this article also talks about diversifying our crypto wallets.
Yeah.
Just like we diversify our investments.
Right.
And I'm thinking, okay, if I'm already using a cold wallet, isn't that good enough?
Well, it's like we were saying before, right?
Yeah.
Don't put all your eggs in one basket.
Yeah.
That applies here, too.
Okay.
Even if you have one super secure cold wallet, it's good to have more than one.
Okay.
Just in case something happens to that one, you lose it or...
But wouldn't it be a nightmare to manage,
So actually,
multiple cold wallets?
You can use one cold wallet device to generate multiple wallets, each with its own unique seed phrase.
So it's like having multiple vaults within that Fort Knox.
Yeah, each with their own unique lock and key.
Now, you mentioned seed phrases earlier, and to be honest, I'm still a little fuzzy on what they are and why they're so important.
Your seed phrase is like the master password to your crypto kingdom, right?
Okay.
It's a series of words, usually 12 or 24,
okay,
that give you access to all the funds associated with that wallet.
Okay.
Think of it like the combination to your safe.
So if you lose your seed phrase, you lose access to all your crypto.
You do, unfortunately.
Yeah, no pressure.
That's why you have to keep it really, really secure.
Okay.
And never, ever, ever share it with anyone.
Okay, got it.
Ever.
So this article is very anti-writing it down on paper.
Right.
Which seems like the most obvious thing to do.
It was convenient, yeah. But
what's wrong with writing it down and putting it in a safe?
Paper is just too vulnerable.
Okay.
It can be damaged by water, by fire. It can fade over time.
Right.
So you don't want a leaky roof or you spill a glass of water on it.
Yeah. A spilled cup of coffee, game over.
Yeah, exactly.
So what's the alternative?
So the article recommends Using a metal seed phrase plate.
A metal plate?
Yeah.
Like, are we, like,
yes.
carving it into stone now?
Pretty much.
Okay, I mean, where do you even store something like that?
So you can get these metal plates that have pre-cut slots
yeah.
for metal letter tiles, and you actually physically imprint your seed phrase onto this plate.
Wow.
So it's like fireproof, waterproof.
So it's like indestructible.
Pretty much, yeah.
That's wild.
It is.
Where would you even keep something like that?
Well, you want somewhere that's secure, obviously, but also accessible to you.
Yeah.
A home safe is good, or you could even do a bank safety deposit box.
Oh, that's a good idea.
So.
Okay, so we've talked about, like, being careful with dApps and smart contracts.
Yeah.
We've talked about diversifying our wallets, even if we're using cold storage.
Right.
And now we've got these like super secure metal plates to keep our seed phrases safe.
Right, exactly. But there's one more thing that often gets overlooked.
Oh, really?
Which is something we actually encounter every single day online.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Yeah.
What is that? All right, back to our crypto security fortress.
Yeah.
You're saying there's one more crucial piece we need to add. Something that we see every day online.
Yeah, and we actually touched on it briefly at the beginning.
Oh.
It's all about email security.
Oh, right. You mean those, like, phishing scams?
Yeah.
I always thought those were just, like, annoying spam emails, you know?
Well, they're more than just annoying. They can actually be very, very effective at tricking people into giving up sensitive information.
So, like, login credentials and stuff?
Yeah, including crypto.
Wow. Okay, so, like, emails that are disguised as...
Yeah, like they'll look like...
legitimate messages from exchanges.
Exactly. Like they're from your exchange.
Or wallets, or like support teams.
Right, or support.
Wow, okay.
So
that's scary. How can we protect ourselves from that?
Well, the first line of defense is that dedicated email we talked about.
Right.
Just for crypto.
Okay.
If you keep all your crypto stuff separate from your main email, you dramatically reduce the chances of like a phishing email even getting to you.
Okay, so even if they get, like, my main email address.
Right.
If all my crypto stuff is at a separate address.
They don't have access.
They won't even see it.
Exactly.
Okay, but what if one does slip through the cracks?
Right.
How can you tell if it's legit or if it's a scam?
So there are a few things you can look for.
Okay.
First, check the sender's email address really carefully.
Okay.
A lot of times, they'll use addresses that look almost identical to the real thing.
Well, wow.
But there might be like a slight misspelling or like an extra character.
So you really have to scrutinize the email address.
Yeah, don't just glance at it.
Yeah.
Actually look at it carefully.
Okay, and then what else?
Pay attention to the tone and language of the email, okay? Like, does it sound urgent or threatening?
Right.
Are they asking you to click on a link?
Oh, yeah.
Or download an attachment? Those are all classic phishing tactics.
So if it makes you feel panicked, like, oh, I need to do this right now.
Yeah, or like, if you don't do this, your account's going to get shut down.
Yeah, like scare tactics.
Exactly.
Big red flag.
Huge red flag. And never, ever click a link or download an attachment from an email you're not 100% sure about.
Yeah.
Always go directly to the website by typing in the address yourself.
Yeah, type it in.
Don't click the link in the email.
It's crazy how convincing those emails can look.
Yeah, they're getting really good at it.
It's like a constant cat and mouse game.
It is, but as long as you're aware of the risks
right,
and you take those precautions, you can really reduce your chances.
Okay, so to recap everything we've talked about.
Yeah.
Dedicated email addresses, diversifying exchanges, moving our crypto into our control with cold wallets, protecting those seed phrases, and now...
And being smart about email?
Email security.
Yes.
Okay.
They won.
It feels like we've built a pretty strong foundation.
Yeah, and this is great.
Yeah.
But security is not a one-time thing.
Right.
You know, you can't just do it once and forget about it.
So don't get complacent.
Exactly. The best defense is a proactive defense.
Yeah.
Always be learning, stay curious, question what you see online.
Absolutely. Well, this has been an incredibly insightful deep dive.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
Into the world of crypto security.
My pleasure.
I feel much more confident now, like I can actually protect my crypto.
Awesome.
So thank you so much for sharing your expertise.
Anytime.
And for everyone listening, what's the first action you're going to take?
Yeah, good question.
To level up your crypto security?
Let us know.
Let us know on social media. And until next time, happy and secure hodling.